All right, today we're going to unpack a really fascinating, kind of backwards sounding idea at the heart of all innovation. We're going to look at why tackling a ridiculously hard problem can actually be easier than solving a simple one. And we'll use the big debate over humanoid versus specialized robots to see how this plays out. Let's get into it. So, it all kind of blew up with this one comment from Elon Musk. The idea that Tesla's humanoid robot, Optimus, could one day perform surgery. I mean, that's one of the most complex, high-stakes jobs on the planet. And it immediately started this huge debate. Can a general-purpose robot really do something that specialized? And that, of course, leads to the really obvious question, right? It just seems like common sense. For a job as precise as surgery, you'd want a tool that was built specifically for that one task, not some kind of jack-of-all-trades robot. So, first up, let's really dig into that argument for specialization. Why does a custom-built machine just feel like the right answer here? Well, when you lay it out like this, the logic seems pretty airtight. A specialized robot is perfectly optimized for one thing. It has zero unnecessary parts. A humanoid, on the other hand, its whole body is designed for walking around and doing general stuff, which could totally just get in the way. You look at this, and the specialized bot seems like the obvious winner. But here's where things get interesting. What if focusing on just one task, like surgery, is actually the wrong question to be asking in the first place? Let's try to look at this from a completely different angle. And this is the huge shift in perspective. You see, the real ambition isn't just about building a better tool for surgeons. The goal is to build something that can change the entire equation for physical work, everywhere. And once you change the scale of the goal like that, well, the whole calculation of what's better or easier gets flipped on its head. This brings us to the core idea of this whole explainer. It's almost like a secret math that governs how progress actually happens. And it shows why our gut feeling about what's easy and what's hard is, a lot of the time, just plain wrong. The key concept here is something called relative challenge. See, progress isn't really about how hard a problem is in a vacuum. What actually matters is how hard the problem is relative to the resources, the money, the talent, the sheer willpower that you can rally to solve it. You can kind of boil it down to this simple formula. The whole game for any great innovator is to get this ratio as high as you possibly can. You want to bring an overwhelming amount of resources to bear on the problem you're trying to solve. There's a great military analogy that makes this super clear. Imagine you decide you want to fight 10 soldiers, just for the heck of it. It's you against them. That's basically impossible, right? No one's going to help you. But now, imagine you need to defeat an army of 10 million to free an entire continent. Yeah, the fight is thousands of times harder in absolute terms, but the importance of that mission lets you raise a massive army. All of a sudden, that harder fight becomes a whole lot easier to win. Okay, so how does this idea of attracting an army bring us back to our robot debate? Well, it's all about the power of having a massive goal. This chart just says it all. A company building a really good but specialized surgical robot might pull in a very respectable R&D budget, let's say $5 billion. But a company whose vision is to replace all human labor, that's a goal that changes civilization itself. That kind of vision can attract maybe $500 billion. The size of your dream literally determines the size of your army. And this, right here, is the magic trick that people like Elon Musk seem to pull off. He picks these enormous, inspiring problems. That vision attracts the smartest people on the planet and just unbelievable amounts of money. So think about it. Even if his problem is 1,000 times harder than a competitor's, if he can gather 10,000 times the resources, the problem actually becomes 10 times easier to solve. So this is the really big, profound takeaway from all this. By aiming for something that seems almost impossibly ambitious, you can actually unlock a path that is, weirdly enough, way easier than the sensible, smaller goal. And if you look back, history is just full of examples like this. The grand vision of going to Mars can rally way more resources than just building a slightly more efficient airplane. The absolutely audacious goal of landing a man on the moon inspired an entire nation and unlocked a budget that a simple, let's just get to orbit mission never ever could have. The bigger the dream, the bigger the army you get to build. And it all comes down to this really powerful idea. It's a sentence that feels wrong when you first hear it, but the more you think about it, the more true it becomes. Our lives actually become easier by taking on harder things, because those are the challenges that inspire us and everyone around us to bring our absolute best to the fight. So I'll leave you with this to chew on. If you apply this logic, what other problems that we're all facing today, in technology, in society, maybe even in our own lives, what problems seem impossible right now, but might just become solvable if we only had the courage to frame them as part of a much, much bigger mission? Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.